World Cup. Are you ready? Here are some of the young players you need to know before the U.S. women defend their World Cup title starting July 21st. Join me, join the conversation on this week's episode of the SlabStox FC Show. What's going on, everyone? I'm Andrew at St. Croix Cards, and we're talking U.S. women's national team. The World Cup is less than a month away, and I could not be more excited. The U.S. women playing in Group E this World Cup, and they've got their three group games. They're playing Vietnam, the Netherlands, and Portugal as we enter the end of July into early August. I'm super pumped about these dates. One, because the World Cup is coming in less than a month. And two, that's right around the Nationals. So we could have a lot to talk about in women's soccer as we descend on Chicago, if you're descending on Chicago. But there are a lot of names that we already know for the U.S. women's national teams. Players like Alex Morgan, Megan Rapinoe, Rose Lavelle. But it's the young core group that's coming to their first World Cup that I think we need to know their names, because they could have a massive impact on how well the U.S. women are able to do in this tournament. And the first name that I want to bring up is Trinity Rodman. Now, some of you may have already heard this name before. She's been pretty recognizable in women's soccer, but Trinity Rodman, yes, if you're a basketball fan, you've already guessed it, is the daughter of Dennis Rodman, former Detroit Piston and Chicago Bulls, won so many titles with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, but she is cutting a name for herself in the NWSL for the Washington Spirit. She's off to a really solid start this year, 13 games in the NWSL this year. She's played in all 13 of them, 4 goals, 2 assists, solid start. Now, this young core group of U.S. women's national team players, it's important to note that really many of them can only be in 3 major sets. So if you're new to women's soccer, this is really digestible. So you can kind of look at 3 sets. The first one is Parkside, the one that has the NWSL sets. The other 2 are Select FIFA, which is just released with some of the U.S. women's national team players in it, and then Donruss as well. So those are the 3 that you want to look at. And the first one that I wanted to look at is 2021 Parkside PSA 10 Trinity Rodman rookie card. Now, back in early May 7th, this card sold for $74.40. Now, fast forward to June 7th, it increased it a little bit, just about $6 to $80 on June 7th. But June 21st is where we see a small spike to $109 for that Parkside PSA 10. And the reason is probably pretty simple. June 21st is the day that the U.S. women's national team roster was released. We know Trinity Rodman is going to be going to the World Cup, and so you do see a little bit of a bump in pricing. Now, she is not just in Parkside. She is also in the Select FIFA. Beautiful set. Harkens back to the 2017 Select. Those field levels are so great and good looking. I chose to use the orange out of 60. This is the field level orange out of 60 for Trinity Rodman. One, it's out of 60. There's been a few sales that we can take and analyze, but most of these are going to be raw copies. It just hasn't had time for Select FIFA to get things to PSA or SGC or any other grading service and get them back to put or to resell. So here, June 21st, that day that we saw the U.S. women's national team roster released, we see one of her orange field level prisms out of 60, Trinity Rodman, sell for $111.89. Now, since that June 21st, we've had 3 sales over the 24th of June, and we've seen them as low as $102.50 all the way to $115. So these are selling pretty well. We're seeing some good demand for some of these field levels or just the Select FIFA U.S. women's national team products. So it's great to see of a young striker, a young forward who's looking to make an impact for herself and for the U.S. women as the World Cups begins on the July 21st date as we take on Vietnam. Now, one of the cards that really was a surprise to me, I shouldn't say a surprise, but it was a card that did very, very well, was her field level gold out of 10, sold June 25th for $1,025. So there's some demand, and there's a lot of people who are really focusing in on this young core group of U.S. women's national team players as they prepare and get ready for the Women's World Cup. Now, the second player that I want to talk about is Sophia Smith. She has been on an absolute tear in the NWSL this year. She plays her club ball for the Portland Thorns. Through 13 games this year, she's got 10 goals and 5 assists. If you back it up to Friday, June 23rd, she had a hat trick against the Washington Spirit. I believe she became the youngest player to 30 goals in the NWSL, but also the youngest player with a hat trick in the NWSL. She's clicking on all cylinders and just in time for the World Cup. And we have some pretty prominent names injured going into the World Cup. One of those is Mallory Swanson. You could see Sophia Smith play a larger role in that, which would be great because she's really in prime form. Now, you can find her cards in that Donruss set. It's an earlier release than the Select FIFA, but 2022, 2023, I chose her Donruss Optic Blue Prism out of 99. Just, again, out of 99, there's a few more sales. We can kind of look at the sales history as a whole. Got our first sale on April 15th, right around the time of release. So $65 for that. And most of us know that as a product releases, you tend to see sometimes prices being a little bit higher than they would stay. They don't tend to stay that high, and then they kind of come down over time. You do see that with Sophia Smith. We see one May 22nd. You see a card, that Blue Prism, all raw again. None of these are graded by any grading company. May 22nd sold for $43. And then June 25th, so fast forward another month, just recently one sold for $40. So we started at 65. We've really kind of leveled off on that the Blue Prism out of 99, Donruss Optic, Sophia Smith out of 99, hovering around the $40 mark. Now, I love the Blue Prism, the Red Prism. One of the things I love about these sets, any U.S. players, whether it's a men or women's team, I love the red, white, and blue representation. Maybe that's just me. If you like that as well, I know we always talk about color match, but here is like the flag match or the America match, red, white, blue, all represented in this card, which I think is really aesthetically pleasing, like it a lot. And so this would be like one of the cards that I would look to possibly find if I was getting in on Sophia Smith, but could play a huge role, especially with that Mallory Swanson injury. Now, the one card that was kind of a surprise to me, again, not a surprise, but when we look at some of the higher end, the lower numbered stuff, there hasn't been a ton of sales with some of this low numbered stuff, but we see her White Prism out of 20 sell for $250. So this is in the Select product now, the 2022-2023 Panini Select. So she is in Donruss, she is in Select, she is in Parkside. Those are the three that you want to look at. And there's a number of parallels that you guys can take a look at as well. So definitely go to Cardboard Connection. You can kind of look at the checklist. You can see all the parallels. Sometimes too, if they find their way to Comp C, you could always type in and look at Comp C. Comp C does a great job of outlining all the parallels, so you can at least get an idea of what the parallels are, what they're numbered out of, and even some of the pricing if they are in Comp C as well. So a couple ways that you can go and do your research. I always say do your research. If these are new names for you, don't just dive in because I'm saying to dive in. Again, collect what you're comfortable with, collect what you like, collect what you research, and maybe even see a little bit of them in action in the NWSL. But Sophia Smith, definitely one to watch as a young striker and going forward in the World Cup. Now, the one surprise, as some of the pundits were talking, even myself, is Alyssa Thompson. Now, Alyssa Thompson, 18 years old and going to the World Cup. She plays her club ball at Angel City. 13 games this year for them. That she's got similar numbers to Trinity Rodman, 30 goals, 1 assist. But the difference between her and Trinity Rodman and Sophia Smith, she is not in Select FIFA. She is not in this year's Donruss. She is only found in Parkside. So if you're looking for her, you're going to find her in Parkside. And she's got an interesting card there that I just want to highlight. I just want to go over. And that is her on-card auto, numbered to 400 in that Parkside. It seems to be a big chase for a lot of people. I know we love autos in the hobby. I know we love on-card autos in the hobby for an 18-year-old forward going to her first World Cup. So this card sold June 14th. It is a raw copy, sold for $425. $425. And then we've seen kind of a variety of pricing as we go. As early as June 24th, this card was $399. And then we saw one sell on the 25th for $325. So we're kind of a little bit all over the map. But I think that this, for her going to her very first World Cup, you can only find her in the Parkside product. I believe so. So if I'm misspoken, if she's in a different product, please let me know. But I did not see her in the Donruss product or the Select FIFA product. So this would be where you would find her cards. I don't know how much time she'll get in the World Cup, but experience, 18 years old, she's going. If she gets an opportunity, you just never know. But a very, very promising young talent for Angel City, but also for the U.S. women's national team going forward in the years to come. We're starting to see maybe this World Cup is a big kind of shift between some of those players that we have grown to know and seen through previous World Cups, those players like Alex Morgan, Megan Rapinoe, and now we're starting to see this young core group come through. It's really exciting for the U.S. women's national team, and it's going to be a fun title defense here in New Zealand and Australia in just under a month. Now, the last player I want to talk about, we talked about 3 forwards, attack-minded players, goal scorers. It's what the hobby really looks for. But in order for the U.S. women to really succeed and go deep in this tournament, I think, like many tournaments and other clubs, it's going to come down to defense. That is what it's going to come down to. And there was a big blow to the U.S. women's national team just recently when Becky Sauerbrunn, kind of veteran leader of the back four, ruled out for the World Cup. Where did the U.S. women's national team turn to? I think they turned to Naomi Girma. Naomi Girma, Stanford grad, was the Defensive Player of the Year last year in NWSL. She was also the NWSL Rookie of the Year. She plays for San Diego Wave. She's played in all 13 games this season at center back, and the Wave have 6 clean sheets out of 13 games. She's got to play a huge factor in that, and with Becky Sauerbrunn out, I think Naomi Girma is going to slide right in there. And as kind of the back four goes, if you don't give up goals, there is a high percentage that you could come out victorious in games. So Naomi Girma is one to watch in my book. May not be the flashy goal scorer, but she could be the rock that really could anchor that defense going forward. Would love to know your thoughts on Naomi Girma or any of these players as we look at these young U.S. women's national team players as they get ready to defend their title. Now, she is in that Donruss product, and she has, I chose, again, her red prism or her red optic. You can see, again, one of the reasons why. For me personally, love that red, white, blue combination. It's all there. But you can see in April 29th, so kind of earlier on in release, $8.26. And this is the red out of 165. Fast forward to May 13th. This was a $12.99 buy. Again, raw copies. None of these are graded as of yet. And then you fast forward to June 25th, and this raw copy of that red prism out of 165 is $15. So you're seeing steady growth, and you're seeing that highest growth right now. She probably wasn't one of those players that everybody was searching for at release, but this is one that you can kind of see that she is kind of steadily going up as Becky Sauerbrunn, as there is an opening for maybe some more playing time. People are starting to recognize the name after the U.S. women's national team roster is released. Some excitement is starting to build. People are starting to look for those cards, and you can see those prices steadily increase as well. Now, a really solid sale goes back a little bit even before the U.S. women's national team roster is released. That would be on June 11th. Here is her 2022-2023 raw Donruss Optic Gold out of 10, sold for $344.62. Now, I think that's a really solid sale, especially we're talking about a center back, a defender. We're not talking about a goal scorer going forward. We're talking about someone who is really there for protection on the back line to make sure that those goals don't get in. And we know as a soccer community that, we don't necessarily value the defenders or the goalies as much as a forward or a goal scorer in the hobby. Now, are they still important? Absolutely. They can be sometimes the most important. If it comes down to a penalty shootout, or if it's a close game, those clean sheets, the lack of goals for the opposing team is always a positive, right? But these are some of the names that you need to know as the U.S. women kick off that defense title in just a few short weeks. Now, I hope this has helped you out. If you're new to the U.S. women's national team, maybe these are a digestible group of names that you can look at 3 products and you can start to kind of do your own research and see, what is out there, what is available. But I'm sure we'll all be tuned in July 21st as the U.S. women's national team open their defend their title against Vietnam in New Zealand and Australia. Now, I'm Andrew at St. Croix Cards. Would love to know your comments. Did I miss any young U.S. women's national team players? Drop them in the comments below. I hope this video helped, and I cannot wait to see you all again on the next SlabStox FC show. We'll see you next time.